The action shifts again to the lovely Adelaide Oval and two possibilities loom large for the final on Monday. This is the fixture that we have. The second semi-final, India taking on England. Pakistan already await the winner of this game in Melbourne on Sunday. We could have a repeat of 1992 when Pakistan made a backdoor entry into the final after beating New Zealand in a semi-final, or of course 2007, the inaugural edition of this particular tournament saw India and Pakistan clash in the final in Johannesburg on the 24th of September. Well, both the possibilities loom, but for here we're going to discuss everything threadbare on Cricbuzz Live. I'm in the company of Zaheer Khan and Parthiv Patel. Gentlemen, should be quite a cracker of a game, if anything, with this tournament is to go by.
Yeah, absolutely. I think both the teams playing really well throughout the tournament, and then obviously a semi-final is a semi-final, and you rightly said everyone's waiting that it could be India Pakistan, but before that I think it's going to be a great game, especially on this ground, smaller boundaries, more runs have been scored. So so far by the tournament started, the scores have come down a bit, but this ground I think it will be a high scoring game.
Two of the talking points, of course, have been about whether or not it will swing up front and which wicketkeeper will India go with. So let me come to the swing factor first, Zaheer. The possibility or the history suggests that maybe not as much, but the pitch report certainly saying that there could be a little bit up front, and that's all you need, a little bit early on.
Look, a new ball is a new ball, right? It is definitely going to swing. There is no doubt about it. Like I've been mentioning for a while now, that you got to be brave. You got to be brave enough to back yourself and get that ball look to swing, get that ball right up, and that's where you want to give yourself the best chance of swing on offer. So that has to be the approach. When you look at this England side, there is a lot of power. There is a lot of power. There's batting depth. So they are going to come hard. There is no doubt about it. That's the way they play. And that's where the strategies and the tactics come into play. So you got to be, as a bowling unit, stay on top and counter that. And how you're going to counter that is, the only word which comes to my mind is by being brave. Even if they're playing shots, you got to be able to give yourself chance of and the percentage in your favor, and stick to your strengths. So that is something which we've seen, and that's why Bhuvneshwar and Arshdeep are going to be such a huge factor in today's game. Just looking at the conditions, just looking at how Adelaide wicket has played, I feel that if these two set the tone for the Indian team, be it defending or bowling first, it's going to be very, very vital.
Well, in terms of being brave, there could be also bravado at the toss, because this has been a tournament of generally leading towards win toss, bat first, put runs on the board, and especially at this venue, we've seen it's 4-2 in favour of teams batting first and winning. But England have been brave in a different sense. History suggests they're a good chasing team. They've opted to bat first in this tournament, but in this big semi-final, they've asked India to bat first. The England captain has won the toss. India will be batting first, so all the talk about the swing for Bhuvi and Arshdeep will have to wait a little bit when England chase. Parthiv, first reaction to England asking India to bat?
I think a bit surprised that I thought, when you're playing a knockout game, you want to put runs on the board, and that pressure takes over. And especially even when we saw yesterday, Pakistan was chasing only 150, but they had game in control. But as soon as you start reaching at a point where we could just win the game, that's when the nerves start to take over. So yeah, a bit surprised that England decided to bat first, but England decided to bowl first. Yeah, I mean, from India's point of view, it is great. If you're an Indian, you would be. I'm sure India was looking to bat first, and that's what India's strategy has always been, and that should have been. So yeah, I mean, it's from Indian point of view, I'm happy that England has asked India to bat.
It will be interesting to actually see what Rohit's comments are.
He said thank you very much. He said he wanted to bat first anyway.
Okay, good. So you've ticked that box nicely. As a planning part, so before the big clash, you obviously have your think tank coming together. You will be discussing what is the ideal thing for us and how you are preparing for the game. If they have discussed that they would like to bat first, if they're winning the toss, they were going to bat first, and now they are doing that same thing, doesn't matter what the result of the toss is definitely going to work in their favor, at least the preparation, from the preparation point of view. So I think that one box is ticked nicely. Now it's about the magnitude of the game as we are talking about. put runs on board. If you're able to get 170, 175, you can put any team under pressure. And that momentum which we often speak about, that energy which we often speak about, suddenly everything starts to fall in place. So I think from that point of view, it's a good sign that Indian team wanted to bat first, and they are batting first. Now it's just about going out there and executing your plans, staying in the present, like how we've always been talking about in big games. That's going to matter a lot, and starting the innings well.
Couldn't they just have met for breakfast and decided that we'll save time on the toss? We could have a few more minutes of warm-up. The two captains could have gone and warmed up because the toss wouldn't really have mattered. But the one selection, we know England will probably have 2 force changes with Malan and Wood. But for India, Pant or DK?
I would have definitely gone with Pant. Without, I mean, I don't know what Indian the team must have been announced by now.
I was just putting you on the spot.
I would have definitely gone with Pant for sure. I mean, to me, I think that decision is too late now to get Pant into it. I thought that decision should have been taken before Asia Cup, to whether to go with Dinesh Karthik or Rishabh Pant. But now that late in the tournament, they've decided to go with Rishabh Pant just a game before. So I don't think it makes any sense of getting DK back in. So to me, I think I would have gone definitely with Pant.
Well, we've got the wicketkeeper's view. It's the correct view. And once you've got him into that previous game against Zimbabwe, the Indian team unchanged, which means with DK having gone out for that previous game, this is how the 11 looks. They've really not made any changes as such. It was the Akshar Patel, Deepak Hooda change early in the tournament, and then the Pant and DK choice going into this big semi-final. Said, this is, I mean, obviously the bowlers will come into it later, but that firepower, Rohit, Rahul, Virat and Surya Kumar, all of whom have found form at the right time, that looks ominous.
Yes, and you would want India to have a good day today. So all the other boxes are ticked very nicely. When you look at that batting lineup, they have the ability. They've done the job for the Indian team. They all are match winners in their own right. It's just about having those two guys to step up, when it really matters, and then get to that total. So that is something which is going to be very important. The Pant's selection is something, the signs were there from the previous game. And you just got to back the team management on this, because they are in close proximity to understand. Obviously, they must have felt something or some injury scare which DK had, the back spasm and all that. They felt that, okay, this tactical change is required, or maybe they wanted just Pant to be hungry enough before the big one. So that is something which you just have to back their instincts, because they are working closely with all the players. They are seeing them day in, day out in practices, in terms of conversations, their mental space, all those. Rohit has been very vocal about that aspect, what kind of space a player is in. And I think all those factors have contributed to right now seeing this change in at this stage in the tournament. When it matters the most, they've brought Pant in.
And that also brings Hardik Pandya into a different role now. He was playing that role of number 5, where if 2 wickets or 3 wickets have fallen early, he was playing that anchor role. But now he has to play that finisher's role. And obviously Akshar Patel as a batter needs to step up as well, because you had a designated finisher in Dinesh Karthik, which is not playing. So I think Hardik Pandya will come in and play a different role in this most important game. I think that's going to be very crucial, because it's not easy. For me, I think 6 and 7 is the most difficult positions to play. I think is as good as a specialist one like openers. So that's when you have to adjust very quickly. So I think Hardik's role will be very crucial in this batting lineup.
Yeah, also India now has the option of a left-hander, settled left-hander, rather than Akshar Patel, who was just padded up as a floater early in the tournament to get that left-right combination if required. But quick look at the England lineup. We mentioned the 2 question marks were Malan and Wood, and indeed Malan and Wood don't feature in this lineup. Phil Salt comes in for David Malan, and Chris Jordan makes way, or rather Chris Jordan comes in for Mark Wood. That's going to be a bit of a loss for England with the pace that he was generating. Jordan, of course, is a canny T20 bowler, but it's a very different kind of bowler that you're bringing in. And also for Phil Salt, it's going to be an alien position to bat in. He likes to be up the order. And we all thought that if he were to come in as a replacement for someone, it's going to be difficult for him to slot in the middle order. We'll see how it goes with England chasing later on. But when it comes to India, mentioned the powerful top four, Virat Kohli, Surya Kumar Yadav, KL Rahul, all of whom have been scoring runs for fun of late. But Parthiv, the one, not a question mark, but Rohit Sharma would like to take this occasion. Big day. He likes England as an opposition. Think of that
I mean,
2019 World Cup.
if you look at those numbers, obviously there is nothing much to talk about. But I think when you get into bigger games, you don't worry about what you have done in tournament. Players like Rohit Sharma, players like Babar Azam or Virat Kohli. No matter how your tournament has gone, but if when a bigger game comes, the bigger player rises up, and that's what everyone would be expecting. Rohit Sharma would be also expecting that, because it's not that he's not batting well. It's just that runs haven't come. So probably I think today might be his day. The wicket is ideal. The shorter boundaries where he's getting out, playing pull shot on a bigger boundary on the square. Here, if he connects one, it's going to go big. And sometimes when someone else has scored runs, like Babar Azam has scored in the last game, you tend to get into that positive mindset, because someone else was having a bad tournament. Now semi-final came in and he's played well. So obviously Rohit can slightly take that inspiration from someone like Babar Azam, that he had a bad tournament. Now he can have a good game. I can also have a very good game today.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen Rohit's evolution as a player. I mean, of course, we know him as a leader. He's had times when even in the winning campaign, he was not having the greatest of tournaments. When it mattered, big day, big game, came up with a big one.
We just time and again speak about this, about the big players, the big occasion. Sometimes gets you going. Every inning is a fresh inning. Every match is going to start fresh on 0-0. So you got to look at it that way, and believe that that it's your day. As a leader, you've seen with Rohit that on big occasions he has stepped up. In ICC tournaments as well. 2019 World Cup, he's had a fabulous World Cup. So it all depends on what kind of form you're in right now. That's something which you can't take inspiration from. So the big occasion is something is always a factor for someone to just get going. What I liked about Rohit is that he's been he's been very vocal about how he wants to see the batting lineup play out there. He's been saying that we want to be aggressive. Yes, the Australian conditions, no one expected that it's going to be such an even contest between ball and bat, and that kind of changed that whole thought process a little bit. But you've seen him being aggressive. And now, because KL Rahul has scored runs, it's going to give him that advantage as well to take more chances. I think you will see Rohit Sharma being ultra aggressive here as well, and the mindset is something which matters. So if he plays 7 or 8 overs, if he's there till 7-8 overs, rest assured, I think you will see that okay, India is in a commanding position in this game. And that's what you would want to hope, because if he's there, you can't stop him from scoring runs. Yeah. And I think from today's innings, when it's the most important game of the tournament, you're just one step away from the big finals, you can expect him to step up.
Yeah, certainly can. I mean, feeding off someone like KL Rahul would be important. And as Zaheer said, even if the form was not there, you look at the occasion, you feed off what all the other batters are doing, and things can make a huge difference. But one man who's sort of made this tournament his own, if you think back to the India-Pakistan game, but it wasn't just that. For so long, we were celebrating that one magical six, but it wasn't just about that. It was about the runs that were being put on. It was about the not-outs that were coming and finishing games, and that, of course, can only be one man, Virat Kohli. Let's just have a look at what was said, and then we can talk about Virat Kohli, the man. Have a look at this in terms of when you have been playing for 14 to 15 years, you look for new challenges. Sometimes in bilateral matches, the intensity is not fully there. The big stage gets the best out of me. And I think that's important, because sometimes when you lose form, you need something to stare you in the face and G you up, no matter who you are.
Yeah, especially when you have a character like Virat Kohli, who feeds off from the energy of crowd and all of that, but which was not there for 2 years. There was no crowd in the stand. But now that you want those kind of energy, and Virat Kohli is that kind of character. But now that he has said it, everyone has been saying that when a bigger game comes in, Virat Kohli steps up, and he has done that time and again. So no one's surprised. Even everyone was talking about his form. No one was talking about his ability. There's no question about that. It was just about when he's going to get his form back. And from India's point of view, he got his form right before the World Cup. So that was a great sign. And he has carried on that form, and he's been vocal about it. He's been great energy. Even though he's not a captain of the side, but he still emerges as a leader of the pack, not just as a batsman. Even on the field, the way he moves around and the kind of intensity he brings in, I think that can inspire the whole side.
And it just helps. I mean, as we talked about ticking boxes, you can look at the form, you can look at what he's done in the tournament so far. Then sometimes you walk into a venue that you've done something special in. And then you go to Virat Kohli in Adelaide and you tell yourself, that's the perfect place to be playing here. I know a lot of people were like, why are India not playing in Sydney? What does the schedule say? Well, India are at Adelaide, and Virat Kohli certainly wouldn't mind being there, especially because of some of these historical numbers that we're talking about.
He's got phenomenal numbers at Adelaide. He enjoys playing on that pitch. He enjoys playing in that stadium. And as a player, when you're having such a good tournament, and you on top of that you're playing in an important game on the venue which you like, it's everything is adding up for him, it's going to give not only him but also the team and the batting lineup enough confidence to play freely at the other end. You know that someone you can bank on, someone has been in form, and he's had a terrific tournament. Too many not outs as well in this tournament for him, so that's another advantage. You need someone to anchor that innings. So you're talking about what, 120 balls. 120 balls, run a ball is and you have run a ball plus few hits. If you count, you're talking about 140. So that's the way the game moves. But when you have one end taken care, that really changes the dynamic. And I think that person, that player for Indian batting lineup, the batting first, is that Virat Kohli. If he's able to do that, others can rally around him. Even Surya can play more freely when you have Virat at the other end. You've seen how charged up he is when he's in the middle. So the longer he stays, he can just carry Rishabh Pant, Hardik, Surya, along with him. If he's holding that one end, and that's the kind of form he has shown in the tournament. So yeah, from India's point of view, you would want him to have another good day. And if that happens, then that the halfway mark in this match, you will be sitting pretty.
Yeah, Butler will be wondering why. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out reasons that why you would have asked India to bat first, unless they're thinking they're such good chasers and Kohli comes to the party even more as a chase master. I can't find any logic.
I think it did by Mark Wood's not playing. I think that's something which might have played into their mind. Because he was someone who was generating pace. Otherwise, everyone else, if you look at England's team, they have Chris Wokes, or Sam Curran. They both are swing bowlers. Stokes comes in, he doesn't produce so much of pace. So I think Chris Jordan also hasn't played in tournament. So they don't have players bowling with the new ball. Maybe I think that could be the reason why they are backing their batting, and they are maybe not showing that much of confidence in the bowling. So I think that could be the reason why Butler has decided to bowl first.
Yeah, well, only time will tell whether there was some logic in that decision. But yeah, we're trying to tick our own boxes here. Talked about Rohit, talked about Virat Kohli. The list doesn't end. Rahul's already been mentioned. He's found that form with that one stroke that led to that one innings, and then he was back. But Surya Kumar Yadav, well, he just seems to be on another planet. Even when you mention a Virat Kohli, I don't think even Virat Kohli would dare to play some of the strokes that Surya plays, because he's a creature. You've got to let him be.
No, for someone who's batting in the middle order at number 4 in this format, striking at that strike rate is something which not often you see. There are very few at this level in this format to be playing in the manner which Surya is playing. He's manufacturing shots which not every batter can do. He's ahead in terms of planning. I think the key component of his batting is also anticipating the options a bowler has. You have various cues as batters. You plan okay, mid-off is up, what lengths he will be bowling, what line he will be bowling, and how I can counter that. And that computer works in a very nice way when he is in the zone. And the another thing which stands out is his fearlessness, not getting overwhelmed by the occasion. Whether you are 2 down, whether you are 3 down, whether you are there's 100 on board or 50 on board, it doesn't really matter to him. He bats in that fashion, and that's the responsibility which team management also has encouraged out of him. So they are also saying that, okay, we need this one characteristic in our batting lineup, one character which is going to approach the game in this fashion. He's going to play fearlessly, and the result of that you've seen against South Africa. When actually one more batter standing with him would have resulted in 20 more extra runs. But he carried that innings just sheer on mindset, not getting overwhelmed by what's happening at the other end, who is bowling, what is happening, how the pitch is behaving. He's just batting in that mindset, backing himself, and also the form. He's had a terrific year. So all the things are going for him. Another day, another good day for him. So it's just about, when you're looking at that batting lineup of India, as you're discussing more and more, it's just giving you that assurance that, okay, 2 guys need to just put their hand up, 2 guys need to get in, and you will get 160 plus today. There's no doubt about it.
And I think with Surya's thing is, everyone, we all always talk about India has to have, or all the team has to have a very, very good power play or finish well. But with Surya, he's playing that middle overs really well. I think that's when the T20 games are being won or lost, because otherwise, once you have a good power play, you're trying to, you may be trying to put a bit of break on the scoring rate. Or if you don't have a good power play, that's when you start to increase your run rate. But Surya plays that phase so well. I think that is the key. Zach spoken about 193 strike rate, but the average is 75. That is staggering, to have a 75 average and that kind of strike rate. And it just shows that he's in the zone. We always talk about that. You have to be in that zone. Yeah. I think if you want to see what is in the zone, I think you've got to see the Surya Kumar Yadav's batting, that he is in that zone right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect maybe a strike rate like that with not such a high average for someone lower down the order. Maybe the early Surya from KKR days was a different kind of player, but he's taken that game, brought it to number 4, still continues to succeed with those staggering numbers. Zaheer was saying, can't think of too many. I don't think I can think of any. Probably Liam Livingstone should be that kind of player for England. He hasn't. Maybe AB de Villiers?
Yeah, AB de Villiers has also batted in different positions. I mean, Surya's plus point is, he's opened for Mumbai Indians, while all 4 or 5 years when he was with KKR, he was batting at 6, 7, and then suddenly he was asked to open, had a wonderful IPL, then came in at number 3, then came in at number 4. I think in all of this, we always talk about his IPL numbers, but before he made India debut, he already had 5,000 first-class runs. I think that shows that he knows his game really well, and now that his form in his bag, and he has the fitness also. He's spoken about fitness, where he's worked with Paul Chapman and worked in different times. I think that is very important. So playing those kind of shots, I think your feet movement has to be really quick. You have to come back, you have to come into position early. Yes, anticipation is there, but you have to come in just position early, and I think Surya Kumar Yadav is doing that brilliantly.
Yeah, so he could have a dual role to play, of course, making those middle overs count, as Parthiv mentioned, possibly even leaning towards the death with someone like a Hardik Pandya around. But the reason why we keep saying that is, if there's one box that England have definitely ticked, yes, they may be losing a couple of players today, they may have made a decision, we're not quite sure why at the toss, but is their death bowling. It's used to be a weakness, they've turned it into a strength, and this is why. These are staggering numbers. I mean, 23 for 6, 30 for 7, 36 for 3, 25 for 5, 21 wickets in the death in 4 games. I mean, these are figures you'd be proud of. And yes, they have no Mark Wood, but they've added a death specialist in Chris Jordan. So that's one area India will want to say that, okay, if they're that good, we need to make at least overs 1 to 15 count.
See, they've been taking wickets in death overs, so that goes to show that how they are planning. And if set batters are batting there, it's not going to be that easy. So you can look at this number and prepare. Maybe identify that, okay, they are staying in the game, they are not getting overwhelmed by what's happened in the first 15 overs. But you also have to make sure when you are playing against them, that if two batters are in, they have to make sure that they don't lose wickets at that stage. If you don't lose wickets at that stage, then these numbers will definitely be telling a different story. So what is standing out in that is that they've been consistently taking those wickets in those last 5 overs. When you look at England's, what they will be thinking when they're playing against India right now in today's game, you will see some change at the top. You often talk about the matchups, and England is good with that. England is good with preparation and understanding those matchups. You've seen Adil Rashid bowling with the new ball against India, because they know the top order of Indian team. They are good players of fast bowling. They can really take advantage of that. So I'm expecting that from today's game for sure. As a tactic, England for sure will be looking to use someone, maybe Adil Rashid, maybe Moeen Ali is definitely going to be that card which they'll be playing. They wouldn't want to give Rohit Sharma a lot of pace to start with. KL Rahul also, you know how he loves pace. You don't want to get them settled too quickly. So I think that one tactic England will surely have. You'll see spinners bowling. Mark Wood for sure is a big hole, has left definitely a big hole in that lineup, because they were relying on him. They're relying on him with the slightly oldish ball, hit the deck hard, create that pressure in the middle overs. So that's one gap which Indian team needs to take advantage of. So when you're looking at England's back end numbers, if they're so good, you got to make up those runs, look to make up those runs in those middle overs. So from over number 8 till 13 is something which, if you are in that Indian camp, someone needed to just bring that up, that okay, fine, power play anyways gives you runs. You have wickets in hands, but how you can counter that? If you get that momentum little early, so those 10-15 runs which you're talking about, which England have been ticking that box very nicely, you can cover those runs beforehand, and then if the bowlers are under pressure and you get those 15 runs extra there in that block, then you're talking about 25-30 runs there, extra than what you've planned for. So I think once the innings get off the way, these are the things that one should really look at carefully, and how you're approaching will give you a hint of how Indian team has prepared for today's game.
I think Sam Curran might open the bowling as well.
I was just going to say, the one name we haven't mentioned.
Yeah, I was going to say.
We talked a lot with Zaheer and Michael Vaughan about that, and I think you answered my question before I asked it.
So I think Sam Curran might just open with, especially the kind of numbers Indian batters top 3 has against left arm seamers who's getting in, and as Zach mentioned, that he doesn't give you that kind of pace also. He swings it and he doesn't give you that kind of pace. So in terms of matchups, I think Sam Curran would be an ideal matchup for them to bring him in first over itself. We've seen how in-swing bowlers have troubled Indian batters.
Yeah, that's another matchup. Will data guys must be throwing these numbers at them, saying left arm seamer bowling, bringing the ball back into KL and Rohit, you can result in wicket. So that is one matchup for sure. So far we've seen Ben Stokes bowling that first over. In this game, you can expect Ben Stokes not to bowl that first over. I think you will see either a Sam Curran or a spinner. Spinner for sure in the first 6. You will see a spinner playing a role. So these are the tactics England will bring to the table for sure for this game.
We'll wait and see. They've been in a huddle. Stokes is very much part of that think tank. He had the ball in his hand. So whether or not it stays in his hand when that first ball is bowled, he could just still well be bowling that first over. Maybe get it out of the way. Maybe England have a formula that they've kept in mind, and we could have Sam Curran bowling the second over. But for now, we're going to let one person do all the asking of the questions. The little brain teaser we love to put at the end of every show of ours. Our joy factor question. He's not here to ask the question, so I'll ask it on his behalf. He loves his little thumbs up. Which current international cricketer shares his nickname with a former American president and the nickname of a device invented in 1901 by Hubert Booth? So I'm sure everyone's jumping on Google just in case you don't know the Hubert Booth invention. And of course, the American president. It won't take you long to figure this one out. It's just about who does it quickest. Interesting question for an interesting match that we have, of course. India versus England. It's the second semi-final. Who's going to meet Pakistan on Sunday in Melbourne? But that's as far as the questions are concerned. What about the numbers? India have been asked to bat first. India wanted to bat first. India are batting first. Parthiv?
181.
181. I like it when it's specific.
181. Perfect.
I'm going in with 175. I think 175 is going to be good total on this pitch.
Yeah, that's what I would have gone for. And since it's taken, and I will take it, I'm not going lower. I'm going to go higher. I'm going to go for 186. 186. India have been given a gift. They're not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. And that's exactly what they're going to say. Michael Vaughan, who was on the show with us throughout this tournament, he actually has put out a tweet just as we were going on the show saying, huge blow for England, would not fit. India are now favourites. So Michael Vaughan had actually made England favourites before that. And that's how he feels as a local, how big a blow it is that England don't have Mark Wood. Once again, to remind you, India are batting first, having lost the toss. And KL Rahul, Rohit Sharma are out there. We feel there's a big total on the cards, but it should be an absolute cracker. Just time to say thank you for the moment to Parthiv and Zaheer. We'll see all of you very soon. Not even at the end. We'll see you in the 10th over on Cricbuzz Combox. That's all from Cricbuzz Live.